This band? I like this band. I wrote it down so I don't forget who they are. Oh, I remember. Fucking Slay!
Metal Horror Madness. We're back, baby. We're back with a special episode. Something near and dear to my precious little heart. I don't know if you guys are aware of the Big Four, the mighty Big Four of Thrashers. Causes a lot of controversy. A lot of people sometimes, they don't want certain bands in there, which I don't get. I don't think they understand what the Big Four is. I think we need to break that down a little bit. Sometimes people think they just randomly took 4 thrash bands and just threw them in a blender and go, you're the Big Four now. That's not the case. And most people always say, get rid of Anthrax. Also, that's criminal. I don't understand that. Persistence of Time, Among the Living. You're talking about some of the greatest metal albums spreading the disease. They just keep going. You see them live. You want to see them again. I'm actually psyched to see SOD with Scott Ian and the mighty Jasta fronting them at the Milwaukee Metal Fest, which I'll be attending. And if you see me there, I'll be sure to scream a Slayer in your face 666 times. The Big Four. Why do they call it the Big Four? It's the Big Four of thrash metal. The Big Four, right? The Big Four sellers. They sold more albums than any other thrash bands could ever dream of. Clearly Metallica, above and beyond. Nobody could touch them. That is one of the biggest selling bands of all time. I think even Gene Simmons would agree. This Funko Pop soda can has got a Gene Simmons in it. And I take him out sometimes, and he wishes me good luck and all my endeavors. But Metallica, the biggest of the big, right? Then I would think Megadeth probably the second in sales. Then you got Slayer and Thrax going neck and neck, back and forth. But those are the Big Four. You can't take that away from them. I'm not talking about who thrashes harder, Slayer, the most metal band of all time. Let's all say their praises. If you don't like Slayer, you got something wrong with you. I got the tattoo. And I got the FKN to go on top of that. But we got these 4 magnificent, majestic bands, all perfect to me. Yeah, they have their problems when it comes to commercialism and where the scene went over time. But you go see any of these 4 bands right now, and you're not going to miss a beat. You're going to go crazy. Metallica sounds as heavy as ever. As heavy as ever. I just saw him with Pantera. It was sick. Megadeth, I saw Biohazard. Thrax, I saw Solo. All bangers, the mighty Slayer. You guys know how I love to scream that. I ain't gonna scream it yet, though. Those are your Big Four. That's the base. You can't change the Big Four. Those are the Big Four of selling albums when it comes to thrash metal. No one's gonna up that now in 2025, right? The scene's changed. A lot of things are guerrilla warfare out there when it comes to selling things and getting out on tour. But if you talk about who number 5 could be, who it has to be to me, it's not even debatable. And I love Me Testament, I love Overkill, I love Destruction and Sodom and all these banger bands. But number 5, hands down, no debate, is Exodus. Without Exodus, we might not even have that thrash game. Bonded by Blood, Pleasures of the Flesh, Impact is Imminent. So many bangers, Persona non grata, still putting out heavy stuff now. Yeah, we've had Ball-Off, we'd have Retro, we've had all these different great albums come out. We've got Dukes back in the band now. Don't be hating on that. Dukes brings it heavy. Anthrax, super heavy band. Exodus, insanely heavy band all the time. But when you put Dukes, they just get a little stronger, a little tougher. Gary's still shredding riffs like he just started. The guy's never out of ideas. Imagine Gary Holt. Imagine for a moment someone in the 2 greatest thrash bands, or 2 of the greatest thrash bands ever. That's impossible. That's crazy. That guy's a riff. It just doesn't stop. I know he's got a book out coming out. That looks pretty sick too. But Exodus. You could say without Bonded in Blood. I know some people will say Kill 'Em All. But without Bonded in Blood, I don't think the thrash movement gets to where it gets. I don't think we get bangers like Rust in Peace. I don't think we get Persistence of Times. I don't think we get Peace Sells. But who's buying? Who is buying? Who's buying? Nobody's buying peace, are they? All they like to do is go to war and brainwash everybody, both sides, all different leaders of the world. One thing that's not discriminatory, that's people in high powers taking advantage of people in low powers, isn't it? Isn't that the way it is? Some people say I do that with the metal moms sometimes. Just because I hook up with them on a Friday and tell them by Saturday morning they need to pack their bags and get on going. Get to stepping, as the kids say, because you can't stay there, because there's so many metal moms and there's only one of me. There's only one of me to go around. I need to recharge sometimes, too. I'm 47. I ain't 27 no more. Metal moms, I'm sorry, but you got to take a number. And don't get offended when I don't call you back. It's better for both of us. I got a lot of problems sometimes. Sometimes I like to party and drink 75 or 80. It's not the healthiest lifestyle. You got to balance it. You got to know your limits. If I could only know my limits, but I can't know my limits. I'm a shooting star. Just like these thrash metal bands we're talking about. Number 5, I got to put in Exodus. It's not debatable. Exodus that was one of the greatest. That could be the greatest show I've ever been to at the Palladium. No barricades. Metal Horror Madman followers going over me, throwing me the metal horn, stage diving. Gary Hope locking eyes with me. I'm screaming Slayers to him. I'm screaming Slayers like my life depends on it, and it did at that moment. That was a violent, good, friendly, violent fun. What a great, great Exodus live album. And what a great time that Exodus show was. The Palladium, the mighty Palladium, Massachusetts. We got the best venues out there. You don't mess with mass metal and hardcore scene. Nobody can touch us when it comes to it. But we got those 5. Number 6 is Testament. I was parched. I was thirsty. I was making out with your mom last night. She's got dry mouth, you know. But I say Testament easy. My first metal show, 1994, Roxy Music Hall, out of business now. Long Island, Strong Island, home of Suffocation, home of some of the great hardcore scene and bands also on top of that. But I saw the mighty Testament. It was crazy. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. Some chick jumped on some guy's shoulders, pulled his shirt up. There was people screaming. There was fist fights. There was thrashing. There was moshing. Chuck Billy jumped on stage 1994. He put out a Testament album that should be as big as any as theirs, Low. It's called Low. How Low? Dog-Faced Gods. Hail Mary, what an album. That's my favorite Testament album. A lot of people don't know it, though. 94, the scene changed. Grunge infiltrated everywhere. Chuck Billy jumps on stage. He grabs the mic. He goes, "The record label said we got to sell out, but I only practice what we preach." And he broke into that song, and I'll never forget that show, Your First Time. It feels like the first time. I tell that to every metal mom. I'm like, oh, I've never had this feeling before. It's true love. Pack your stuff and go. You know, what a great Testament. Oh, I thought they were going to be as big as Metallica. Chuck Billy with that vocal range, the highs, the lows. It's crazy. It's sick. Banger after banger. New Order, Legacy, Souls of Black. I mean, that band just doesn't stop gathering. Demonic, they got into some death metal. That was pretty sick. So if I just made a 6 now, Exodus, Automatic 5, Testament 6, 7 and 8, I got to start getting a little wacky here. I got to go Overkill number 7 if I'm adding a band. Overkill, easy. Horoscope's one of my favorite top 10 albums of all time. That album's diverse. It's got thrash. It's got doom. It's got everything. Overkill's had a crazy career. They've survived with no radio hits, not a lot of label support. They've been around. Yeah, they were on Atlantic back in the day, but they weren't getting the support they deserved. And they got banger after banger after banger. Granted, some people don't like Blitz's voice the same way they don't like Dave Mustaine's voice, but then they don't get thrash and metal, do they? We don't do things like everybody. This ain't the Backstreet Boys. Everybody. Yeah. Move your body. We ain't doing none of that here. We're talking thrashers. And when it comes to thrashers, Overkill, top 7 for me. Top 7, Overkill? If you don't like Overkill, go fuck yourself. Is that fair? That's a fair statement. If you don't like them, go fuck yourself. That's the way I get through life when people don't like something I don't like. Sometimes I try and like it and appease them and listen to what they're saying. Other times I tell them to just go fuck themselves. It's kind of metal. Number 8 for me, though. Number 8's where things get really dicey. I have this argument. I have a war inside my head. Shout out to Mike Muir and Tendencies. Man, that band you could put in number 8, couldn't you? I know they're punk hardcore, but they're also thrash. Some of the greatest thrasher albums. Mike Muir, what a beast he is. Psycho Myco, great band. Infectious Grooves, The Booty That Makes You Move. They do a great cover of Immigrant Song. They do a great David Bowie song, too. Oh, Infectious Grooves is great. Sodom could be number 8. Destruction, Devastation. Oh, there's so many that you could just plug in there. Flotsam and Jetsam could be. Death Angel, Dark Angel. I got to go Death Angel. That's one of the greatest metal comebacks in history. The band has a tragedy, a horrible tragedy. Look it up. They stopped frolicking through the park. They had their final act, Act 3, and then they came back with a vengeance. Boy, was I glad when they came back. That band is underrated. I believe they were just added to the Milwaukee Metal Fest, which I'll be attending, as I told you. If you see me, say hi. I'm very quiet in person, very reserved. All I'm going to do is scream Slayer and thrash in your face, maybe shotgun a beer at 10, maybe run around like a lunatic, maybe start pushing people in the pit. I got to get to that front row again. One of my greatest moments I talked about before was seeing Gary Holt at the Palladium. And as one of my followers said, one of my boys, Garth, I love you, man. Like he said, he filmed it for me. I was like a lion going through gazelles. I was like a shark. I was going through killer whales and mermaids and guys in submarines and zombie apocalypses. And I was throwing people out of the way so I could get to the front row because I knew Gary. He hasn't let me down once. Gary's advice is thrash all the time. Gary's advice is get your shit together. Don't let addictions overcome who you are and what you want to be. Never let anything stop you like that. But I had to get to that front because I knew he did. He did. I knew he was going to play Rain in Blood, and I could see the whole Palladium starting to turn red with the lighting. And I heard, and I lost it. I got up to that front. I was throwing guys out of my way twice my size. That's a dangerous maneuver, but they know the Madman. They know he stands for truth, justice, in the Slayer thrash way. And I'm up there screaming. I'm screaming Slayers. Nothing else exists at this point. I'm battered. I'm bruised from the mosh pit, from people stage diving on my head. My glasses were broke. It was psychotic, but I was on a mission. I had to get his attention. Yeah, he's liked some of my stuff on Insta. I knew he was probably aware of who I was, but to get his attention in the heat of the moment, I mean, this guy's up there shredding with Exodus classics. The place is ballistic. There's no barriers. It's violent. It's heavy. It's crazy. And there I was right up there screaming Slayers, and all these people around me, followers were screaming Slayers, and other people that didn't know me were all screaming, and Gary locked eyes with me. He locked eyes, and I changed as a person that day. I changed. I don't take shit from anybody. I never did, but now I really don't. I just live for truth, justice, in the thrash way. The guitarist of the Mighty Exodus, one of my greatest bands of all time. Impact is imminent, one of my top 10 albums ever. Thrash Under Pressure, my favorite Exodus song. Also the guitarist on Repentless Slayer, a severely criminally underrated Slayer album. I know Jeff, rest in peace, and Dave, doing other things, but we're talking Slayer, guys. You got to support everything. They don't have a bad album, and Repentless is a banger on Nuclear Blast, my favorite record label. Love those people over there. Very kind to me. Very good label. All the bangers they have on there. We locked eyes and I'm screaming. It got so Slayer rowdy. They stopped on stage for like 5 to 8 seconds just looking at each other. We started something. And it's been spreading at other Exodus shows when Gary goes into Slayer and people start screaming it. Gary, thank you so much for just acknowledging me there, brother. Like, I look up to Gary. You don't understand all the things he's been through. Gary's whole family, Lisa, these are people I saw in magazines. These are people I saw in magazines when I was younger, and I worship these people. I worship the Holts. Like, these are metal royalty to me. I can't get enough of it. I think these are some of the sickest, coolest people that have war stories. And Gary's got all those thrash stories. And Lisa's got all the photography stories. And she's got a new website and podcast, Women in the Pit. This thing is crazy. It's sick. It's worth looking up. Look it up on my Insta. They're going to give the perspective that needs to be heard. Could you imagine being a female coming up through this fucking scene with all the scumbags out there? People putting you down just for being a female. People putting you down maybe just because you're married to Gary. And you're out there making a name for yourself with that photography and that personality. And people just standing behind you. Metal royalty. I love the Holts. Even Chelsea, I got a freaking sticker commissioned. I got some art commissioned. She does sick artwork. Chelsea Holt, if you want some, look at that. Isn't that badass? There's me and Heavy Metal Puppy. She did me justice. I got another one, too, that she did. I got another one here. Look at that art. So sick. Why am I plugging? I love these people. I look up to these people. They treat me nice. They've been nice enough to like stuff I do, and that's what this scene is about. So when I talked about my big 8, right, Death Angel, Exodus, Testament, Overkill, Metallica, fucking Slayer! You know that band, Megadeth, Thrax? I look at our scene. I look at the scene and I love the people. I know we have some bad players sometimes and some bad influences, but that's why we're out there looking out for each other, loving each other, getting to know each other, right? Go up to these people you worship, say hi, just have a normal conversation. I can tell you, people sometimes tell me they're afraid to come up and see me. That's silly. Come say hi to me. I seem crazy and aggressive, but you'll see when you meet me in real life. I just like to chill. I like real people. I like to get to know people, get to meet people. And that's where this heavy metal journey happens sometimes. I get to meet a hero of mine, heroes of mine, people I saw in magazines, people I couldn't wait to buy their albums. You had the ups and downs with them. You see their struggles and their addictions, and you can relate in our own lives, right? We're not all perfect. We're not all perfect in here. We all know, most of us into metal, goth, horror, punk. We got some issues. We don't come from the best families sometimes. We're always the outsiders, the misfits, but you look at these heroes. You look at these heroes up there thrashing. They're up there thrashing for us, right? They're giving us what we want to hear. They're living the dream. Imagine making a living doing what we want to do. Imagine that instead of working these jank-ass jobs where people don't treat us the best and try and put people down, but I'll never be put down and you shouldn't either. I'm curious in the comments who your other four of that big eight could be. And if we could finally agree the big four is the big four, you can't change it. Those are the big four, the number four, top four selling thrash metal bands. It's not even close. The things they accomplish, gold and platinum albums, that type of music. You ever just sit back and just go, how did that even happen? Right, we know the glam movement got huge, and there's a lot of hatred towards that, but there's a lot of great stuff. There's a lot of bands like Rat and Cinderella, Wasp, that shouldn't be jumbled into any generic. And even bands like Poison, not heavy metal, more rock. But if you like it, you like it. It's all fun music. Don't put people down in their scene. But that scene had its time, right? New metal had its time. You could see that. It got very trendy. You had your Limp Bizkits, your Korn, your Static X's. Love a lot of that stuff, especially Korn, Static X. Really, really my favorite new metal band. Slipknot, I saw live with Knock Loose. That was a great show. But to think, I could see all that being accessible, right? The goth metal, the typo net. But the thrash bands at one time had people running around freaking putting garlic around their houses thinking vampires and Satan was going to attack. The thrash bands were known as the burnouts, the scumbags, the fighters, the guys that'll brawl with you over everything. They don't fear anything. They love the riff. They love the thrash. Yeah, a lot of those thrashers partied hard. I don't know how they kept it together. But you think of those accomplishments, gold. And then Exodus. Exodus was on the first Headbangers Ball tour with Halloween. That's crazy to get in there. That's crazy. That was a magical time. Fabulous Disaster. Impact is imminent. Force of Habit I like a lot. A lot of people don't like that album because it got lighter. But that was the scene. All these thrash bands had to survive. The funniest thing is when they got more accessible, they weren't getting the airplay or the concert sales or anything like that. It's weird. When they were just thrashing, that's when all the heat was there. Then you try and change with the times. Overkill, I Hear, Black Testament, The Legacy, all great albums. These are great albums. I don't get the hatred. I don't get the hatred for Slayer, Diabolos, and Musica, which touches with new metal. These are great, talented bands. I don't have a bad album from these bands. I really don't. Some of the Metallica stuff isn't for me, newer stuff, but they're not bad albums. You know, I'll bust balls, I'll make fun of some things. That's an iconic band. I just saw them, like I said. I saw them at Gillette Stadium. Here, even Fuel, oh my God, live. Creeping Death live. That was crazy. Shout out to Creeping Death Designs in Salem. Sick booths. Sometimes I help them at festivals. Great place. Go follow them on Insta. Creeping Death, if you see them, they'll be at Milwaukee Metal Fest. They'll be at Silver. They're everywhere. Go buy some patches, buy some shirts, say the Madman sent you. Really good people. And you'll see me there chilling, hanging out sometimes. I like to sling merch too. And as the metal moms know, I like to sling something else. And I think you do things the way you want to do them in life. And I believe in being as aggressive and fun as possible and just making out with as many metal moms as you can during a festival. And they don't have to be a mom either. You can make different exceptions. And that's what I want to know with your big eight. What are your exceptions? Who do you think belongs, doesn't belong? Death Angel. I almost wanted to put Dark Angel in there just for Darkness Descends. That is a banger of an album. Flotsam and Jetsam, No Place to Disgrace, right? These are great albums by great bands. Lots of great thrashers out there. Lots of great thrashers I love, too, that aren't in the Big Eight, but bands you got to be listening to, like Lich King. That's a great thrash, local Massachusetts, great metal, great guys. They like to party. Mike really likes to party. You meet him at a festival, he'll knock a few back with you. Great band. Such a good band. Belushi Speedball, another great thrasher. Toxic Holocaust, Havoc, right? You got all these thrashers. Nemesis. You got Labyrinth. You got everybody out there thrashing their way around the town and trying to make a name for themselves, and that's all we can do. That's all we can do when we're out there and you're out there producing great music. And when you talk about your big eight, we're talking those big four, the four. I'm not letting that one go. That's the criteria. You start with that four. No one comes in, no one goes away. You don't like it. What's that hatred towards Anthrax a lot? What's that about? Have you listened to their whole catalog, even the stuff with Bush? All magical. All magical. And like I said, if Exodus had the sales, they're in the top four. I don't know who I'd bump out to. That'd be tough. Maybe it'd be top 4.5. Exodus has never let me down once. I've seen him live multiple times. I've listened to every album, all the different singers. Gary just makes it work. He's got that passion. And for me, the big four favorite, though, has got to be Slayer. You guys know I'm a super Slayer fan. But I also think, yes, Metallica is number one if you talk about album sales. But of that original big four, the band that just brings the metal more than anybody else, the band that brings the aggression is the mighty Slayer. I get so excited when I get to see Gary or I get to see Kerry King. The Kerry King band, that's a great new song, great new album, great new tour to go see us out with Lamb of God and Mastodon. Kerry King decides to play Rain and Blood. So this guy's sitting in the Mohegan Sun Arena in the stands. I didn't have floor tickets at the top of my lungs, and I couldn't believe it. It was crazy. I had people that knew me screaming and people that didn't know me start screaming at me. And they're grabbing me on my shoulders, and they're like, this guy's a bad motherfucker. And I'm like, I am. I was just at the Bonginator, Frog Mallet, Trash Panda, RSI, Bonginator, the Froginator tour. And I walked outside at the Middle East, and I was in a cut-off Slayer shirt, and it was snowing. It was 5 fucking degrees. That's how you go see a metal show. And before that, I saw the hardcore show at the bottom of the Middle East, Haywire. That was a great show, great band. That was a great night. I went on stage to announce Frog Mallet. Boy, do I love going on stage and getting attention. I'm going to be up there, too, for some more bands this year. I'll be at the New England Death Metal Fun Time Bonanza, hosting some games, having some fun. And if you see me at a festival, I'll make sure you have fun, too. That's what it's all about. I'm talking a lot of fun. I'm talking metal moms in the back seat, bad decisions, worry about it in the morning, metal moms by the trash cans, just really poor decision making where I don't always feel good about myself, but I feel good at the time. Who's your top 8? Who's the other big 4? That's what I need to know. Who's the most underrated thrash band? Can we talk about that? Who is the most? There's a lot of them, aren't there? There's a lot of underrated thrash bands when you think about it, and I don't know who I want to say or what it's going to be. I don't want to be disrespectful to any bands, but there's some great thrashers out there that just never got the respect that they deserve. There's bands like Sanctuary. It's not thrash, but Dave Mustaine produced their first album, and that's an underrated, rest in peace. That's an underrated band, turned into Nevermore, right? They were phenomenal. I always think Sodom's too underrated. I know us metalheads know who they are, but to me, that band should be way bigger. That should have been one of the biggest thrashers ever, I think. Destruction, again, to us metalheads, yeah, but the outsiders don't know them, or new people to metal aren't going to know these bands as much. Who do you think deserves more respect? And I got to know that, and I got to know that in the comments. And I want to tell you, this has been a fun quick little episode. I just wanted to talk about who my big 8 looked like and why they were that way to me. So we got Testament, Chuck Billy's vocals, voice, never a bad album. Oh, man, I got to listen to some Testament when I'm done. Low. The Legacy. Oh, the Legacy's so underrated. That should have been as big as the Black. I thought that was going to be as big as the Black album. That has all the ups and downs. It just must have been the timing. It must have been the timing. Overkill. I hear Black. I love that. People say it was a sellout. It's great. Horoscope. One of my favorite albums ever. The Fuck You EP. That band taking over. That band's Hello from the Gutter. They got everything. Exodus is perfect. Exodus doesn't have a bad release, a bad song, a bad riff, a bad album cover. You got to support that band. That's a legacy band out there. I saw him in No Barricades. That was crazy. I don't know how Gary keeps coming up with all these riffs. It's actually psychotic. I don't know how he keeps doing it. It's crazy. There's just nonstop. And then Death Angel, seemingly endless time. Oh, Death Angel makes me so happy. They were so young when they came out. They had so much potential. You had that death, that tragedy. They went away. It made me very sad. You get sad, right? They say, what do you get sad for? You can't get sad, man. You don't even know these guys. When someone dies, it's sad. I don't care if it's my enemy, it's sad. And when a band you follow and you love and you worship, and they go through that heartache, to imagine what they're going through. They're firing on all 4 cylinders. They're killing it. And then they just got to go away. Then a tough decision to come back. What do you guys think of bands that come back? I think it's fine nowadays. I don't like when people start telling me about, oh, I don't know, you can't see this band. There are no more original members. I can't think of a band with all the original members in metal. No one in the big 4, right? No one in the big 8 I mentioned. I don't know. Are there bands with original members left? I don't know. I like to go have a good time. I need some representation. Sometimes you see a band, you have that happen to you. I've seen bands where there's no original members. That's a weird one. But if the songs sound good and you're having fun, they got the rights to the album. A lot of times what people don't know, some of the family members are getting some of those residuals from these touring. I know Quiet Riot had it set up that way. Frankie with his daughter, rest in peace. Frankie with a great drummer. Quiet Riot. I love QR3. QR3, Condition Critical. Those are 2 of my favorite Quiet Riot albums. Not for everybody. I just, he was on Wasp, Headless Children. People don't know that either. Frankie was very talented. He set it up with the rights to the band where his daughter's going to get money from that. So you can't knock it. You can't knock it. Go out there, see Sarzo's in there. Rudy Sarzo, a legend. I got to meet him in Sturbridge, Massachusetts one time. Super nice guy. Super sincere. He's played with everybody. Dio, Ozzy. It's amazing. It's like me. I've played with every metal mom. I've played with every metal wife. I don't discriminate. Just don't tell your husband. Then I got to knock him out. It's such a great time to be talking to you guys. I've had fun. And I just had fun getting some new tattoos. That's the fucking for the fucking Slayer. That's a pretty sick one, isn't it? I got Pantera. Look at that beautiful Pantera with all that beautiful colors in it. I like to be colorful. I like to be a show off. You guys know me. And they get those at Port of Worcester Tattoo in East Brookfield. Take a ride out to the country out there. I like to. Rich, I used to be in Worcester, but now we go see him out in East Brookfield. Let him know Metal Horror Madman sent you. He'll hook you up. Guy's got great prices. Guy got great ideas. I always let him take creative opportunities with all my tattoos. As you can see, we get a little crazy with the color schemes. Great guy, Rich Green. Another person I talked about was the mighty Creeping Death. Go check them out. Buy some patches. Buy some custom shirts, some dresses. All you goth hotties, all you metal hotties, wear some of her clothes. She's got the best custom stuff you can find. She'll work with you on designs as well. Sick company. Love me some Creeping Death. And I also love me some Hola Horror. I believe he's going to be sponsoring some New England Death Metal Fun Time Bonanza. Also a great festival. Come see me up at the Bonanza this year. I like to get crazy and stupid. We party to levels you don't understand. And as always, don't forget to thrash!